Captain Hyun-woo Kim stood on the bridge of the UEN Defiance, watching Earth grow smaller through the viewport. The blue planet looked peaceful from this distance. Beautiful. He had no idea it would be the last time. He saw it that way. The Defiance was humanity's first real faster-than-light ship. Not the clunky prototype that barely worked, but a proper vessel that could cross star systems. Hyun-woo felt proud every time he walked through its corridors. 3 years of construction. Thousands of the best minds working together. And now, finally, they were testing the new engine modifications. "Captain, we're reaching the test boundary," said Ja Park from her station. The physicist looked tired but excited. She had been working on the quantum drive for months without rest. "Ready to push the engines to maximum range." Hyun-woo nodded. "Proceed with the test." Earth was 3 months into first contact with alien civilizations. The Galactic Council had arrived with ships that made humanity's best technology look like stone tools. 47 different species, all more advanced than humans. They said they came in peace. They said they wanted to welcome humanity to the galactic community, but the meetings had not gone well. The Council called humans aggressive. They said humanity was too violent, too unpredictable. They showed videos of Earth's wars, the nuclear bombs, the conflicts that never seemed to end. The Council argued for hours about whether humans should be allowed to join them or not. Admiral Tae-Yang Choi had warned everyone. "They're afraid of us," he said during the last briefing. "Not because we're strong, but because we won't follow their rules." Hyun-woo had laughed at that. Humans were barely managing to work together as one planet. How could the Council fear them? He was about to learn how wrong he was. "Captain!" The communications officer turned pale. "I'm getting emergency broadcasts from Earth, all channels." "Something's happening." Hyun-woo rushed to the communications station. The screens filled with chaos. News channels from every nation showed the same thing. Lights going out. Cars stopping in the streets. Planes falling from the sky. "What is this?" Ja asked, her voice shaking. Then the Galactic Council's broadcast came through. A tall, gray-skinned alien appeared on every screen. Its voice was calm, almost gentle. "People of Earth," it said. "The Galactic Council has made its decision. Humanity is not ready to join the galactic community. Your aggressive nature and violent history make you a danger to peaceful civilizations. Therefore, we have activated a cultural suppression field around your planet." Hyun-woo felt his blood turn cold. The alien continued, "This field will restrict your technological development. You will return to a simpler way of life. A peaceful way. We do this as an act of mercy, to save you from destroying yourselves. In time, perhaps in a few thousand years, you may be ready to join us." The broadcast ended. For a moment, nobody on the Defiance spoke. Then the communications officer started crying. "My family," she whispered. "They're in Seoul, the hospitals." "The life support systems." Hyun-woo understood immediately. Billions of people depended on technology to survive. Medical equipment, transportation, power grids, food distribution, climate control. If everything stopped working at once, Try to contact Earth, he ordered. Any station. Any frequency. They tried for an hour. Nothing worked. The suppression field blocked all advanced communications. Finally, they picked up one last transmission. It was weak, barely audible, coming from a backup system that was dying. It was Admiral Tae-Yang Choi's voice. "Defiance, if you can hear this, listen carefully. The field has destroyed everything. Technology just stopped working. We estimate casualties in the billions already. Hospitals are down. Power is gone. It's chaos everywhere." Static filled the transmission, but Choi kept talking. "You're our only asset outside the field. The only ship that still works. Don't try to come back. The field will shut you down too. Stay out there. Learn everything you can about them. Find a way to stop this." More static. "Hyun-woo, I know your daughter was in treatment at Seoul Central Hospital." "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." "Make them pay for this. Make them..." The transmission died. Hyun-woo stood frozen. His daughter, little Haren, only 7 years old, fighting leukemia. She had been in the hospital for weeks. The machines keeping her alive. Put a hand on his shoulder. She was crying too. Everyone on the bridge was crying. They all had families down there, parents, children, friends, all of them dying because the Galactic Council decided humanity needed to be saved. "Captain," the navigator said quietly, "what are our orders?" Hen Wu looked at Earth. From this distance he could see a strange shimmer around the planet. The suppression field. A cage built by beings who called themselves peaceful. A cage that was killing billions of people. He thought about Haren. Her smile. The way she hugged him before he left for this mission. "Come back soon, Daddy," she had said. He would never see her again. Something changed inside Hyen Wu at that moment. Something hard and cold settled into his chest where his heart used to be. "We follow the Admiral's orders," he said, his voice steady despite the rage building inside him. "We study them. We learn their weaknesses. We find out how this field works. And then?" Jia asked. Hyen Wu looked at his crew. 23 people. 23 humans who were now the only free members of their species. 23 people who had just watched their entire world get destroyed by aliens who smiled and called it mercy. "And then we make them regret ever coming to Earth," he said. The crew stared at him. Nobody disagreed. Nobody looked away. They all felt the same thing. The same burning need for justice. "They called us aggressive," Hyen Wu continued. "They called us violent. They said we were too dangerous to join their peaceful civilization." He turned back to the viewport, watching Earth struggle behind its prison of energy. They have no idea what they've just created. They wanted to suppress humanity's dangerous ambition. Instead, they've given us a reason to show them exactly how dangerous we can be when they hurt our families. Jia wiped her tears and straightened her uniform. "Where do we start, Captain?" "With those relay stations," Hyen Wu said, pointing to the 5 massive structures orbiting Earth. They pulsed with energy, maintaining the suppression field. That field has a power source. Everything has a weakness. We find it. The Defiance turned away from Earth and began its work. Behind them, their world went dark. Ahead of them, the galaxy waited, unaware that humanity's first lesson had just been taught. The Galactic Council had made a terrible mistake. They thought they were saving the galaxy from humanity. They should have been saving themselves. 6 months had passed since the sky fell on Earth. Dae-Young Yoon crouched in the ruins of what used to be a university laboratory. He was only 17, but he had learned more about alien technology in the past 6 months than most scientists learned in a lifetime. His family was counting on him. The whole resistance was counting on him. The suppression field made anything more advanced than simple tools stop working. Computers died. Engines failed. Even basic electronics became useless chunks of metal and plastic. The Galactic Council had sent humanity back to the Dark Ages with the press of a button. But Dae-Young had discovered something interesting. The field was not perfect. "Try it now," he whispered to his sister, who stood watch by the door. He connected 2 wires to a small device he had built from scavenged parts. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a tiny light flickered on. Just for a second, but it was enough. "It works," Dae-Young breathed. "The blind spot actually works?" The suppression field scanned for technology constantly, shutting down anything it detected. But if you built something small enough, simple enough, and hid it in just the right way, you could create a pocket where technology could function. A blind spot. It only lasted a few seconds. But a few seconds was better than nothing. Across the planet, humanity was adapting. In what used to be Tokyo, Sora Lee stood before a gathering of resistance leaders. They met in an old temple, using methods of communication that the Galactic Council never considered. Messengers on horseback, signal fires, carrier pigeons, ancient methods that required no electricity. "We've made contact with 47 resistance cells worldwide," Sora said. She had been a diplomat before the field came down. Now she was something else. A coordinator. A leader. Someone who kept hope alive. Food production is stabilizing. We're not dying as fast as they hoped we would. An older man stood up. What about the council? Are they still watching us? Yes, their inspectorships come once a week. They observe us like we're animals in a zoo. They take notes about how peaceful we've become. So Ra smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Let them watch. Let them think we've given up. Every day they think we're beaten is another day we prepare. In a hidden bunker beneath the frozen ground of former Siberia, Jun Seo Han worked on his own project. Before the field, he had been a bioweapon specialist. His government had paid him to think about diseases and cures. Now he thought about revenge. The Galactic Council was made up of 47 species. Jun Seo had studied every piece of information humanity had collected during first contact. Medical scans, environmental data, biology reports. The Council had been so confident, so open with their information. They never imagined humanity would use it against them. They all breathe oxygen, Jun Seo muttered to himself, making notes on paper. Everything had to be on paper now. They all have similar protein structures. They evolved in low radiation environments. That last part was important. Earth was a harsh planet compared to most Council worlds. Higher radiation, more violent weather, stronger gravity. The aliens were adapted to gentler conditions. That was a weakness. Everything had a weakness. Far above Earth, Captain Hen Woo Kim and the crew of the Defiance watched the relay stations. For 6 months, they had studied the structures that powered the suppression field. Every detail, every energy pulse, every maintenance cycle. The Council thought the Defiance was just drifting wreckage. Haiyan Wu had made sure of it. They shut down all non-essential systems. They drifted like a dead ship, and they watched. Park had filled hundreds of notebooks with calculations. Without proper computers, she had to do everything by hand. It reminded her of ancient scientists working out the mathematics of the universe with nothing but paper and pencil. I think I understand it, she said one day, showing Haiyan Wu her latest work. The field isn't actually suppressing technology. It's creating a massive electromagnetic pulse, constantly cycling. Anything electronic gets hit with the pulse and shuts down. Can we stop it? Han Wu asked. Maybe, if we can overload the relay stations, create a feedback loop, the whole system might collapse. Might? Jie shrugged. I'm working with pencils and paper, Captain. This is the best theory I can give you. Haiyan Wu looked out at the distant stars. Then we need to test it. But not yet. We need to be ready for what comes after. Unknown to the Council, humanity had one more secret. Commander Wu Jin Song stood in the command center of Station Hope. The name was ironic. There was little hope these days. But the station existed, and that was something. Hope was built inside a large asteroid, far enough from Earth that the suppression field did not reach it. Construction had started years ago, back when humanity first detected alien signals. Admiral Taeyang Choi had been paranoid about first contact. He insisted on having a hidden base, just in case. Everyone thought he was crazy. Now, Wu Jin blessed the Admiral's paranoia every single day. How many ships can we build? He asked his chief engineer. With current resources? Maybe 300 small fighters. They won't be pretty. The suppression field means we can't use any advanced materials or electronics. We're basically building flying metal boxes with rockets. Will they fly? They'll fly. And they'll carry weapons. Old-fashioned kinetic weapons. Bullets and missiles. Nothing the field can shut down. Wu Jin nodded. The Council had made a mistake. Their suppression field only affected advanced technology. Simple mechanical systems still worked. Guns still fired. Explosives still exploded. Rockets still burned. Humanity was going back to basics. And basics could still kill. Back on Earth, Daeyoung made contact with Sora through the resistance network. It took 3 days for his message to travel by courier. 3 days of hoping the Council inspectors would not intercept it. The message was simple. I can create windows in the field. Small ones. Brief ones. But enough. So Ra understood immediately. If they could create temporary blind spots in the suppression field, they could coordinate. They could communicate. They could prepare. She sent messages to every resistance cell. Stay quiet. Stay patient. We're going to hit them all at once. In his bunker, Junesio Han completed his research. He had created something terrible, a biological weapon that would not kill, but would incapacitate. The Council species were vulnerable to certain compounds found naturally on Earth, compounds that were harmless to humans but would cause severe illness in the aliens. He looked at his creation and felt sick. This was not what he wanted to be. A man who made weapons. But the Council had left him no choice. Aboard the Defiance, Hanwu received an unexpected transmission. It came from Earth, somehow bypassing the suppression field for just a moment. Dae Young's blind spot technology. The message was from a resistance leader. We're ready? 2 million people organized. We're just waiting for the signal. Hanwu felt something he had not felt in 6 months. Hope. The Council thought they had won. They thought humanity was broken, pacified, returning to a simpler and more peaceful existence. Their inspectors filed reports about how well the suppression was working. They had no idea that beneath the surface, humanity was sharpening its teeth. 2 years, Hanwu thought. Give us 2 years to prepare. 2 years to build weapons they won't see coming. 2 years to learn everything about them. Then we show them what humanity really is. Stood beside him, looking at Earth through the viewport. Do you think we can really do this? 23 people on a ship, a few resistance cells, 1 hidden station. Against an entire galactic empire? Hanwu thought about his daughter. He thought about the 2 billion people who died in the first month. He thought about the Council members who smiled while they murdered an entire world. Yes, he said. Because they think we're defeated. They think we're harmless. That's their weakness. He turned to face his crew. They called us aggressive and violent. They said we needed to be suppressed for the good of the galaxy. They murdered billions of us and called it mercy. His voice grew harder. So we'll show them mercy. The same mercy they showed us. And when they beg us to stop, we'll smile and tell them it's for their own good. The crew nodded. Everyone understood. This was no longer about survival. This was about making sure the Council never did this to anyone else. Humanity had been given a harsh lesson. Now it was time to teach one in return. 2 years had passed since Earth went dark. The Galactic Council had moved on. They filed their reports, marked the human suppression as a success, and turned their attention to other matters. The inspector ships still came to check on Earth, but less frequently now. Once a month instead of once a week. The inspectors grew lazy, confident. That was exactly what humanity wanted. Captain Hanwu Kim watched one of those inspector ships drift past the Defiance. The alien crew had stopped being cautious. They flew the same routes, kept the same schedules, checked the same locations, predictable, arrogant, perfect. They think we're just another dead ship, said Jia Park quietly. She was thinner now, like everyone on the Defiance. 2 years of ration food did that. But her eyes were sharp, focused. They scan us once a month and move on. Good, Hanwu said. Let's keep it that way. The Defiance had spent 2 years gathering intelligence. Every Council ship that passed. Every communication they intercepted. Every patrol pattern they observed. Jia had filled entire crates with handwritten notes and calculations. They knew everything. On Earth, the resistance had grown beyond anything the Council imagined. Sora Lee stood in a cave system in what used to be the Korean countryside, looking at a map drawn on the wall. Red marks covered it. Each mark represented a resistance cell. Each cell had between 50 and 500 members. Thousands of marks covered the map. How many do we have total? Asked a young woman beside her. Last count was 8 million people, Sora said. Organized, trained, waiting. 8 million people hiding in plain sight. The Council inspectors saw humans farming with hand tools, living in simple villages, traveling by horse. They saw exactly what they wanted to see. A peaceful, primitive population. They never looked deeper. They never saw the weapons hidden in every village, the training happening in every forest, the rage burning in every heart. In his laboratory, Dae-Young had refined his technology. The blind spots in the suppression field lasted longer now. Almost 30 seconds? That was enough time to send complex messages, to coordinate across continents. Test the new prototype, he told his team. They activated the device. For 30 seconds, a small radio worked perfectly. They sent a message to Sora, who was 500 kilometers away. She received it and sent one back. It works, Dae-Young said, smiling for the first time in months. We can coordinate the strike. Above Earth, the 5 relay stations continued their work. They had been doing it for 2 years without stopping. Massive structures that generated the suppression field. Each one was the size of a city. Powered by fusion reactors that could run for centuries, but Jia had found their weakness. The stations work together, she explained to Haiyan-Wu, showing him her calculations. They create a network. If one station fails, the others compensate. If 2 fail, the field weakens but holds. But if all 5 fail at exactly the same time, the whole system collapses, Haiyan-Wu finished. More than collapses, it creates a feedback loop. All that energy has to go somewhere. The stations will destroy themselves. Haiyan-Wu studied the notes. How do we hit all 5 at once? We can't. Not from the Defiance. We need help from the ground. That meant coordinating with Earth. That meant taking a risk. Haiyan-Wu made the decision. Contact the Resistance. At Station Hope, Commander Wu Jin-song walked through the hangar bay. 300 small fighters sat ready. They looked primitive compared to Council ships. Simple metal frames. Basic rocket engines. Manual controls, but they had 2 advantages. First, the suppression field could not shut them down. Second, nobody expected them. How are the crews? Wu Jin asked his second officer. Ready and angry, sir. Every pilot lost family when the field came down. They're volunteers. They know this is probably a one-way trip. Wu Jin understood. This would not be a clean battle. This would be desperate and bloody. Many would not survive, but they would make it count. Young Mikong had been working for 2 years on a separate project. She was a xenobiologist, and she had access to something valuable. Captured Council technology. When the Council first arrived, they had been confident. They shared medical data. They allowed human doctors to scan them. They provided samples for research. All in the spirit of friendship and cooperation. Young-Mi had kept all of it. And she had studied it carefully. Their immune systems are weak, she told her research team. They evolved in controlled environments. Clean worlds. Their bodies never developed strong defenses against foreign compounds. What does that mean for us? Someone asked. It means Junesio's bioweapon will work even better than he hoped. It means they're vulnerable in ways they don't understand. But the most important discovery came from an unexpected source. Donghayan Park, Ja's younger brother, had been captured by Council inspectors 8 months ago. They took him for questioning about resistance activities. The Council did not know that Donghayan wanted to be captured. He spent 8 months working as a laborer on Council ships. He cleaned. He served food. He was invisible to them. Just another broken human, grateful for any scraps of mercy, and he planted tracking devices on 17 different ships. When he finally escaped and made his way to a resistance cell, he brought valuable intelligence, ship movements, security codes. Most importantly, the location of the Council's local command station. The information made its way to Sora, then through Dae-Young's communication network, and finally up to the Defiance. Haiyan-Wu read the report 3 times. They have a command station, just 2 light years from Earth. Makes sense, Ge said. They need somewhere to coordinate the suppression operation. And if we destroy the relay stations, they'll send reinforcements from that command station. Within 6 hours, according to Donghayan's information. Haiyan-Wu thought about this. 6 hours. They needed to hit the relay stations, deal with the immediate Council response, and somehow survive long enough to matter. It seemed impossible. He smiled. Good. The council would think so too. Send a message to Earth, he ordered. Tell them we have a date. 3 months from now. Tell them to be ready. So Ra received the message and immediately began preparations. 3 months. 90 days to coordinate 8 million people across a planet where communication took days or weeks. She divided the resistance into strike teams. Each team had a target. Relay stations. Council inspector ships. Communication arrays. Anything that supported the suppression field. Dae-Young worked day and night, building more blind spot generators. Each one was a simple device that a person could carry. When activated, it would create a 30-second window where technology worked. 30 seconds to fire a modern weapon. 30 seconds to send a signal. 30 seconds to fight back. June-SEO prepared his bioweapon for deployment. It was not lethal. Humanity would not become monsters, even against those who tried to destroy them. But it would make the Council forces very, very sick. Unable to fight. Unable to think clearly. Helpless, the way humanity had been helpless. 2 years ago, Wu Jin drilled his pilots constantly. They practiced launching procedures, attack formations, emergency maneuvers. Everything was manual, everything was basic, but that made them reliable. Remember, Wu Jin told them before each drill, the Council has better ships, better weapons, better shields. But they've never fought anyone who had nothing left to lose. That's our advantage. We're already dead in their eyes. Let's show them what ghosts can do. The 3 months passed quickly. Hyan-Wu spent the final week double-checking everything. The relay station attack plan. The communication protocol with Earth, the escape routes if everything went wrong. Are you scared? Jia asked him one night. Terrified, Hyan-Wu admitted. But I'm more angry than scared. They killed my daughter. They killed billions of us. And they did it thinking they were doing good. What if we fail? Then we fail fighting. That's more than their council gave us. Nodded. She understood. The night before the attack, So-Ra spoke to her resistance leaders one final time. Tomorrow we show them what humanity really is. Not aggressive. Not violent. Just determined. When you push humans to the edge, when you take everything from them, you don't make them peaceful. You make them focused. Across the planet, 8 million people waited. In caves, in hidden bunkers. In forests and mountains and ruined cities. They checked their weapons. They said goodbye to loved ones. They prepared to fight. Above them, in orbit. The relay stations continued their work, unaware, unsuspecting. At Station Hope, 300 pilots climbed into their fighters. Wu Jin gave them no speech. No grand words. Just a simple order, make them regret coming to our system. The pilots nodded. That was all they needed to hear. On the Defiance, Hyan-Wu looked at his crew. 23 people who had lived in a barely functioning ship for 2 years. 23 people who had lost everything but refused to give up. Tomorrow we take our home back, he said. The Council thought they could cage humanity. They thought they could make us peaceful by force. They were wrong. He looked out at the relay stations. Tomorrow, they learn that the only thing more dangerous than humanity reaching for the stars is humanity fighting for survival. The crew stood ready. Earth stood ready. Station Hope stood ready. The Galactic Council had no idea what was coming. They should have left humanity alone. The attack began at exactly 0600 hours. Earth Standard Time. On the surface, Dae-Young activated the first blind spot generator. For 30 seconds, a pocket of technology came alive in the suppression field. Radio signals burst across the planet. A single word, now. 8 million people moved at once. Sura stood on a hill overlooking a council inspector ship that had landed for routine observations. She raised her hand. Around her, 200 resistance fighters emerged from hiding. They carried old rifles, homemade explosives, anything that did not require electronics. The council guards did not even have time to react. For Earth, Sura said quietly, and the attack began. across the planet, the same scene repeated. Inspector ships destroyed. Communication posts overrun. Council personnel captured or killed. It was coordinated, precise, and ruthless. The Council had thought humanity was broken. They learned otherwise. High above Earth, Captain Hyun-Woo Kim watched the 5 relay stations through the Defiance's viewport. Jia stood beside him, counting down. 30 seconds until the feedback pulse activates, she said. They had spent 2 years studying those stations, learning their power cycles, finding the exact moment when they would be vulnerable. This was it. All teams report ready, said the tactical officer. Hyun-Woo took a deep breath. His hands were steady, his voice was calm. Fire! The Defiance dropped its disguise. Systems that had been dormant for 2 years roared to life. The ship surged forward, weapons armed. They hit the first relay station with everything they had. Missiles, energy weapons, kinetic rounds. The station's shields flickered, weakened, not designed for actual combat. The Council never imagined anyone would dare attack them. The station started to fail. At the same moment, on Earth's surface, Sora's teams launched their own attacks. Dae-Young's blind spot generators allowed portable missile launchers to function for 30 seconds. 30 seconds was enough. Ground-based missiles screamed into the sky, targeting the relay stations from below. Simple, mechanical weapons that the suppression field could not stop. Hundreds of them. The second relay station exploded. At Station Hope, Commander Woo Jin-sung gave the order. Launch all fighters. 300 primitive spacecraft roared out of the hidden base. They were not fast, they were not elegant, but they flew and they carried weapons, and they were piloted by people who had nothing left to lose. Sung Ho Bae was among the first wave. He had been a commercial pilot before the suppression. Now he flew a fighter built from scrap metal and fury. His entire family died in the first month. Parents, wife, 2 children. He had spent 2 years waiting for this moment. Target the third relay station, came Woo Jin's voice over the radio. All fighters, attack pattern Delta. Show them what humans can do. Sung Ho smiled grimly. With pleasure. The fighters swarmed the third station like angry insects. Their weapons were crude. Basic kinetic rounds, simple missiles. But there were 300 of them, and they attacked with absolute determination. The third relay station began to break apart. On the Defiance, Jia watched her instruments. It's working. The feedback loop is starting. The stations are trying to compensate for each other, but the power load is too high. The fourth relay station exploded without anyone even touching it. The feedback from the other 3 failures overloaded its systems. That left 1 station remaining, but the Council was not helpless. They had warships nearby. 3 heavy cruisers responded to the attack, arriving within minutes. Their weapons were advanced, powerful, deadly. Captain, we have incoming, warned the tactical officer. 3 Council cruisers, they're targeting our fighters. Hyun-Woo watched as the cruisers opened fire. Primitive human fighters exploded. 10, 20, 30. Sung Ho's squadron was torn apart. Only he survived, his fighter damaged but still flying. All remaining fighters retreat to Station Hope, Woo Jin ordered. But he knew many would not make it. The Council cruisers turned their attention to the Defiance. Energy weapons struck the ship's shields. Warning alarms blared. The Defiance was tough, but it was 1 ship against 3. We can't win this fight, Jia said. We don't have to win, Hyun-Woo replied. We just have to survive long enough. He checked the timer. How long until the last station fails? 3 minutes. The feedback loop will reach it, but we need those 3 minutes. Then we buy 3 minutes. The Defiance dodged and weaved, using every trick Hyun-Woo had learned in 2 years of observation. The Council ships were powerful, but they were designed for fighting other advanced civilizations. They expected shields and energy weapons and electronic warfare. They did not expect desperate maneuvers and pure survival instinct. 2 minutes, on Earth. Jun Seohan activated his bioweapon. It was a gas that spread quickly in oxygen atmospheres. Harmless to humans. Devastating to Council species. Council forces on the ground began to collapse. Not dead, but incapacitated, sick, unable to fight. They had no immunity, no defense. Their perfect controlled evolution had made them weak. 1 minute. The last relay station was failing. Jia could see it on her instruments, the power fluctuations growing worse. The feedback loop consuming it from inside. Almost there, she whispered. A council cruiser scored a direct hit on the Defiance. Shields failed, hull breaches on 3 decks, people died. The ship shuddered but kept flying. "Captain, we can't take another hit like that," said the damage control officer. 30 seconds, Jia said. "The council cruisers lined up for another shot?" This one would destroy the Defiance completely. Hen Wu knew it. His crew knew it. They had done everything they could. Then something unexpected happened. A voice came over the communications channel. Counselor Velmara, leader of the suppression operation. Her voice was panicked. "All ships, cease fire. The relay network is collapsing. Pull back, pull back." Too late. The last relay station exploded in a cascade of energy. But it was not just an explosion. The feedback loop that Jia had created worked perfectly. The energy from all 5 stations, 2 years' worth of stored power, released at once. The blast wave spread outward, hitting the council cruisers. Their shields, designed to stop weapons, could not stop a wave of pure electromagnetic energy. Systems failed, engines died. The 3 powerful warships became dead metal floating in space. The suppression field around Earth collapsed. For the first time in 2 years, technology worked. Lights came on in cities, computers booted up, communications networks activated. Across the planet, 8 million resistance fighters heard their radios come alive. And then the real attack began. Admiral Taeyang Choi had survived the past 2 years in a bunker, beneath what used to be United Earth Navy headquarters. The moment the field dropped, he activated systems that had been waiting in standby mode. Defense satellites, weapon platforms, military networks. Everything that had been sleeping suddenly woke up. "All forces, this is Admiral Choi." His voice rang across every military channel. "The field is down. Execute Operation Awakening." Earth's military might, dormant for 2 years, came roaring back to life. Fighter jets launched from hidden bases. Missile silos opened. Navy ships that had been floating dead in the oceans powered up. An entire planet's worth of weapons activated simultaneously. The Council Inspector ships in orbit did not stand a chance. They had been designed for observation, not combat. Within minutes, every single one was destroyed or captured. Sun Hobei, still flying his damaged fighter, watched Earth light up like a Christmas tree. "About time," he said, and turned his craft toward the nearest council ship. On the Defiance, Haiyan Wu allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. They had done it. Against impossible odds, they had actually done it. "Captain, we're getting a transmission from the Council Command Station," said the communications officer. "It's Counselor Velmara. She wants to negotiate." Haiyan Wu's expression hardened. "Put her on screen." The alien appeared, looking shaken. "Captain Kim, please, stop this attack. We can discuss terms, we can reach an agreement. The same way you discussed terms with us 2 years ago?" Haiyan Wu asked coldly. "That was different. We were trying to help you. You killed 2.3 billion people. You called it mercy." Velmara opened her mouth to respond, but Haiyan Wu cut her off. "You wanted to see how peaceful humanity could be. You wanted to suppress our aggressive nature. Well, Counselor, let me show you something." He nodded to his tactical officer. "Send the package." A data burst transmitted to every council ship in the system. It contained everything. Videos of Earth after the suppression field activated. Images of hospitals full of dying people, children starving. Cities burning. 2 years of suffering. "That's what your mercy looks like," Haiyan Wu said. "Now let me show you our mercy." He signaled to Admiral Choi. Across Earth, every weapon locked onto the disabled council cruisers. One word from Haiyan Wu and they would all fire. "Wait." Velmara shouted, "Please, this can be resolved peacefully." "You had 2 years to be peaceful," Sora Lee's voice came over the channel. She had taken control of a council communication post on Earth. 2 years while we buried our dead. 2 years while we learned to hate you. "We were wrong," Velmara said desperately. "We made a mistake. Please don't do this." Hyun-woo looked at his crew, at Ga, who had lost her parents, at the young communications officer who lost her children, at every person who had survived 2 years in hell. Then he thought about his daughter. 3 months after Earth broke free, the galaxy watched in shock as humanity did something unexpected. They did not invade. They did not conquer. They did not take revenge. Instead, human ships appeared in orbit around 17 different worlds. Each one had been suppressed by the Galactic Council, just like Earth. Each one had been told it was for their own good. Sora Lee stood on the bridge of the diplomatic vessel that approached the planet Kelmor. The Kelmarians had been under a suppression field for 300 years. 3 centuries of forced primitive life while the Council watched and waited for them to become civilized enough. "Open a channel," Sora ordered. "All frequencies. Let them hear us." She spoke slowly, clearly, making sure every word was understood. "People of Kelmor, this is Sora Lee of Earth. We know what was done to you. The Galactic Council suppressed your world, just as they suppressed ours. But we found a way to break free. Now, we're here to help you do the same." The response took several minutes. The Kelmarians had no advanced technology, no way to respond quickly. But eventually a signal came back, weak, desperate, hopeful. "Please," a voice said. "Please help us." Sora smiled. "That's exactly what we're going to do." Meanwhile, at the ruins of the Galactic Council headquarters, a trial was taking place. Counselor Velmara stood before judges from 100 different species. Human judges. Kelmarian judges. Representatives from every world the Council had ever suppressed. The prosecutor was Haewon-young, a young researcher who had spent months studying Council records. What she found was worse than anyone imagined. The Council did not just suppress humanity, Haewon said, presenting her evidence. They have done this to 17 species over the past 1,000 years. Each time they claimed it was necessary. Each time they said it was for the good of galactic peace. She pulled up data files, medical reports, death counts. The average mortality rate when a suppression field activates is 40%. Nearly half the population dies in the first year. The Council knew this. They did it anyway. The courtroom was silent. They called it the Pacification Protocol, Haewon continued. A way to deal with species they considered too dangerous, too aggressive, too unpredictable. Species like us? She looked directly at Velmara. "How many billions have died because of your decisions, Counselor?" Velmara sat quietly, unable to answer. On Earth, President Minji Huang addressed the reformed Galactic Assembly. The old council had been dissolved. Now, a new government was forming. One where humans had significant power. One where suppressed species had a voice. "We could have destroyed you," Minji said to the assembled representatives. "After what you did to us, after the billions who died, we could have taken revenge. Many of my people wanted to. They still do," she paused, letting that sink in. "But we won't. Because we're not like you. We don't believe in suppressing other species for their own good. We don't believe in deciding who deserves freedom and who doesn't." A council representative stood up. "Then what do you want from us?" "We want changes," Minji said firmly. "Real changes. First, every suppression field in the galaxy comes down. Today, all of them." "That could be dangerous," the representative protested. "Some of those species are genuinely violent." "Then you deal with it diplomatically," Minji replied. "You don't cage them. You don't murder billions of them and call it mercy." She outlined the new rules. No species could be forcibly suppressed. No technology could be restricted without the affected population's consent. All galactic decisions required input from all species, not just the powerful ones, and if we refuse? Asked another representative. Minji looked at them calmly. "Then we enforce it. Because that's the other thing you need to understand. Humanity is no longer asking for permission. We're not the weak species you tried to destroy. We're the species that survived your worst. And we're not going away." At the trial, Captain Hyung-woo Kim took the stand as a witness. He had been asked to testify about Earth's experience. He spoke for 3 hours, describing everything. The moment the field activated, the hospital's going dark. The billions who died, he described his daughter, Harin, 7 years old, who loved drawing pictures of spaceships, who wanted to be an astronaut when she grew up, who died alone in a dark hospital because the council decided humanity needed to be peaceful. When he finished, there was not a dry eye in the courtroom. Even some council representatives were crying. "What would you have us do with Counselor Velmara?" The chief judge asked. "What punishment fits this crime?" Hien-Wu looked at Velmara. She looked old now, broken. Not the confident leader who had announced Earth suppression 2 years ago. "Make her watch," Hien-Wu said finally. "Make her watch as we free every species she helped cage. Make her watch as we build a galaxy where no one ever suffers what we suffered. Make her live with what she did." The judge nodded. "A life sentence of service? Velmara will work to dismantle every suppression system in the galaxy. She will see firsthand the suffering she caused. It was not the revenge many wanted, but it was justice. In orbit around Earth, Dae Young-yoon was working on his greatest invention yet. Not a weapon. Not a tool of war. Something better. "It's an early warning network," he explained to the engineers examining his design. "A galaxy-wide system that monitors for suppression fields. The moment anyone tries to cage another species, every world will know instantly." "Can one person really build something like that?" someone asked. Dae-young smiled. "Not one person. But thousands of us working together?" "Absolutely." The project began. Engineers from 24 species contributed. Within a year, the network would span the entire galaxy. Never again could a species be isolated and destroyed in secret. At Station Hope, Commander Wu Jin-song watched as the hidden base was dismantled. They did not need it anymore. Earth was free. The suppression was over, but the ships they had built remained. 300 fighters, primitive but effective. Wu Jin had a new idea for them. "We keep them," he told his officers. As a reminder, the council had advanced weapons and powerful ships. We had metal boxes with rockets. And we won. Let's never forget that technology isn't everything. Determination matters more. The fighters became a museum, a memorial to the people who flew them knowing they would probably die. A symbol of what humanity could do when pushed to the edge. Young Mekong continued her research, but with a different focus now. She was no longer looking for weaknesses to exploit. Instead, she studied how different species could work together, how to bridge the biological gaps between civilizations. The council failed because they never understood diversity, she told her students. They saw differences as threats. We need to see them as strengths. Her work became the foundation for new medical technology that helped all species, not just humans. The galaxy benefited from Earth's suffering in ways the Council never imagined. Junseo Han destroyed his bioweapon research. Every note, every sample, every piece of data. He kept only one thing. A single vial locked in a vault with a plaque that read, "A reminder of what we could become if we let hate guide us." He spent the rest of his life teaching medical ethics, using his experience to warn others about the dangers of weapons that seemed justified in the moment. 1 year after liberation, a ceremony was held on Earth. Every freed species sent representatives. The 17 worlds that had been suppressed for decades or centuries, they built a memorial, a massive structure visible from orbit. It listed the names of every person who died because of the Galactic Council's mercy. Human names, Calmarian names, names from species humanity had never heard of before, 2.3 billion human names alone. It took weeks just to read them all aloud. So Ra-Li spoke at the dedication. "We built this not to celebrate revenge, but to remember, to make sure that no one ever forgets what happens when the powerful decide they know what's best for the weak." President Minji Huang added her own words. "The Galactic Council thought they were saving the galaxy from humanity. They thought our aggression and violence made us dangerous." She looked out at the crowd, at representatives from 100 species. "They were right about one thing. We are dangerous. but not in the way they thought. We're dangerous to tyrants, to oppressors, to anyone who thinks they can cage others for their own good. That's the kind of dangerous we'll always be. The crowd cheered. Not just humans. Everyone who had ever been considered too primitive, or too violent, or too unpredictable by those in power. At the trial's conclusion, the verdict came. Velmara was found guilty of crimes against sapient species, but her sentence was not death. It was life spent dismantling the very systems she had helped create. Life spent facing the survivors. Life spent knowing that her legacy would be shame and failure. As she was led away, Velmara turned to Hyunwoo. I thought we were doing the right thing, she said quietly. I truly believed we were helping you. Hyunwoo looked at her without hatred, but without forgiveness either. That's what makes it worse, counselor. You murdered billions and thought you were being kind. You caged us and thought you were being wise. You destroyed our world and thought you were being merciful. He turned away. That's the lesson you need to learn. Good intentions don't excuse evil actions, and calling something mercy doesn't make it so. Years later, historians would look back at this moment as the turning point,